관객들의 기립박수 속에 진행자 지미 키멀이 엿새 만에 다시 무대에 올랐습니다. 트럼프 지지 세력을 비판하며 찰리 커크 암살 사건을 언급했던 자신의 과거 발언부터 사과했습니다.
But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder.
암살 용의자를 용서한 커크 부인의 행동에도 경의를 표했습니다. 하지만 표현의 자유를 위협하는 트럼프 행정부에 대해선 날선 비판을 멈추지 않았습니다. 권력자를 조롱했다는 이유로 감옥에 가는 나라의 코미디언들이 미국을 존경했던 건 표현의 자유 때문이었다며 중요한 건 자신의 쇼가 아니라 이런 쇼를 할 수 있는 나라에 살고 있다는 점이라고 말했습니다.
He did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
이날 토크쇼는 전국 시청자가 626만 명으로 지난 2분기 대비 4배 폭증했고 유튜브와 인스타그램 영상은 2,600만 회가 넘는 조회수를 기록했습니다. 일부 지역 방송사의 거부로 23% 지역에서 송출되지 않았는데도 10여 년 만에 최고 시청률을 찍은 겁니다. 트럼프 대통령은 방송 재개 소식에 믿을 수 없다, ABC 방송을 지켜보겠다고 밝혔습니다. 지난번 ABC와의 소송에서 223억 원을 받았는데 이번엔 수익성이 더 좋을 것 같다고 소송도 예고했습니다. 방송은 재개됐지만 미국 사회의 이념 갈등, 언론 검열 논란은 계속될 전망입니다. SBS 장선입니다.
미국 ABC 방송이 무기한 중단했던 토크쇼 지미 키멀 라이브를 내일부터 재개한다고 밝혔습니다. 시작은 이 논평이었습니다.
MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
보수 활동가 찰리 커크에게 총격을 가한 사람이 트럼프 지지자였을 수 있다는 이 암시에 한국 방통위원장 격인 통신위원장이 방송국 면허 취소를 거론하고 나섰습니다. 그러자 ABC 방송이 쇼를 무기한 정지시켰는데 수정헌법 1조인 표현의 자유를 무너뜨렸다는 반발이 시작됐습니다. 패러디도 본물을 이뤘습니다.
We have another fun, hilarious administration compliant show.
It's got to be Margaret. Calm down. God, is this your first dictator?
진보 진영을 중심으로 ABC 모회사인 디즈니의 각종 방송과 놀이공원, 크루즈까지 불매 운동도 이어졌습니다.
North Korea soon? We will not let it get there. Will we? No!
파장이 커지자 결국 ABC 방송은 일주일 만에 프로그램 재개를 발표했습니다. 하지만 이미 트럼프 대통령은 자신의 뜻에 반하는 언론은 허가를 취소할 수 있다고 한 발 더 나간 상황입니다.
97% bad publicity or whatever it is, some ridiculous number. Yeah, I would say that would be ground zero.
여기에 이번엔 보수 세력이 반대로 방송 재개에 집단 반발할 움직임을 보이고 있어서 논란은 한동안 이어질 전망입니다. 뉴욕에서 SBS 김범주입니다.
Free speech.
You know, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent. Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago.
All they do is hit Trump. That's all they do. All they do is hit Trump. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. They're an arm of the Democrat Party.
We were just about to walk in. They waited to pull the plug on this right as the studio audience was about to walk in.
Because I was very excited to watch the show, but there was no explanation at all. They just came out, they told us, we're really sorry guys, sorry for the inconvenience. I'm just gonna have to ask everyone to leave, and there was no explanation.
It feels like shows like yours, shows like...
We're gonna change, and there's nothing anybody is ever gonna be able to do about that.
It takes more courage now than...
I think this is a great for, if you're looking, people have been asking if they're going to be in trouble this year.
The MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
This one is 4 inches longer than the other target.
to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of...
Mr. President, my condolences to you, sir. My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
And the country that he loves so much.
Leads to all the hostages being released. It leads to Hamas being...
Hypocrisy of these fascists. And for this, he is being canceled and...
Hi, everyone. My name is Lorelai Creed.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct, but I don't think this is an isolated incident. Representative Swalwell, he had a tweet out last week where he was saying that, emphasizing that Charlie Kirk's killer was a straight white male from a Republican family that voted for Donald Trump. In some quarters, there's a very concerted effort to try to lie to the American people about the nature, appears to be in action, by Jimmy Kimmel to play into that narrative that this was somehow a MAGA or Republican motivated person.
I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative, and yet I won it easily. They give me only bad publicity. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. I thought it would be up to Brendan Carr. When you think about this, 97% of the stories are positive, and yet I win easily the election. It's pretty amazing when you think of it. And that shows they have no credibility. Use that same logic with news. If some of the old days, I remember the old days, and every 4 or 5 years, a network would reapply for its license, and the license is free. You know, they get this valuable thing for free, and they reapply for a license. I don't hear about that. The only one that I've heard even bring it up is Brendan Carr. I think Brendan Carr is doing a great job, and I think he's a great victim.
Come from. It came from there. Mr. President. You tell me. Mr. President.
Who would you like to see replace Kimmel on late night?
A lot of people, anybody could replace. The guy had no talent. Kimmel look, he was fired. He had no talent. It was a whack job, but he had no talent. A lot of people have no talent to get ratings, but he had no ratings. His ratings were worse than Colbert, I think. They got rid of Colbert, which was a good thing to do. And that's something that should be talked about for licensing, too.
It's kind of scary. We've always had pretty much freedom of speech here.
And it seems like that's kind of going away. And I know it's a public venue, but it still seems like he should have been able to say even a little bit that he said.
I do worry a little bit about it. It seemed like maybe the first time with Stephen Colbert that it was maybe an anomaly or a one-off, but now it sure seems like this is the start of a pattern.
I think it's kind of stupid. People have the right to speak what they would like to speak. It is not fair for people to be silent.
If you have any concerns with ABC suspending him, and if you think it's about FCC interference here.
And I have no problem with it. Quite honestly, a liberal is when they think they're smarter than everybody else and they say any dang thing they want because they're so brilliant and everyone ought to listen and they just get what he deserves. If that's what scares off ABC, maybe they need a little bit of a scare.
Essentially saying that any media actor that doesn't say what Trump wants them to say about Charlie Kirk or Trump's policies is going to be silenced. That's censorship.
Repulsive that the Trump administration is perversely using this awful death as a predicate to supercharge their long-standing campaign against political opponents. How low can they go?
I don't necessarily feel like I'm defending democracy, but I do feel like I'm giving this guy a little poke, and he deserves it, and I enjoy it.
It takes more courage now more than ever.
I don't know if it's courage. It's a little more complicated than it used to be.
Speech for all.
Trump must go now! Trump must go now!
Jimmy Kimmel's firing is part of a bigger plan to really turn this into a fascist country.
And not just the general public. Those rich, white,
famous men like Colbert and Kimmel who have a gigantic platform and still are being deplatformed.
Fascist suppression of speech. This is a dictator move. This is a fascist takeover of America.
All censorship, a threat of government power. That is a hallmark of fascist regimes around the world.